show, by the way. Although, when you watched it, you could just tell from looking at Big Dave that it was a time standing still moment. So, he finally got in the cage. He beat up Batista. This all went on about
forever.
9 minutes. And finally, he beat them up. He climbed onto the top, or actually, he threw Nitro on top of Ray to pin him, as if that was even necessary. Climbed up on top of the cage, pounded his breast like King Kong, and the show ended. So then we had Ray Jr. and Mark Henry in a number one contenders match for the Rumble, and Henry did a fine job here for being a giant brick wall.
I was going to say, last week when you said he had not improved at all, you got to give him a little credit.
I was over-exaggerating last week. He has improved somewhat.
He is now, he was useless before.
He is no Vader.
No?
He is no Brock Lesnar.
Absolutely not.
But he is no 1996 Mark Henry.
That's exactly right.
There we go. So, yeah, he did fine. He was a big wall, and I've seen a lot worse walls, one of which was just fired, named John Heidenreich.
Oh, yes.
Eddie rated all his stuff as people chanted Eddie, and it was fine. And he did actually...
The finish was really cool.
We also should not pass too much judgment on Mark Henry yet, because he is still working with Kurt Angle and Rey Mysterio every week, which is saying something.
It is.
So, finish was him catching a horrid frog splash. God bless Ray, but it sucked.
He was way too far away.
He did the zombie sit-up and then did a backward roll into a big slam.
All while holding young Rey Mysterio.
And that's right. And I know that some people were absolutely blown away by this, but I will say that I have taught 4-year-olds to do backward rolls, so we shouldn't get too excited about this. But it was a brand new move in the Mark Henry arsenal, and it was a hell of a cool finish, so thumbs up for this whole little deal right here.
Indeed.
Mark Henry faced Rey Mysterio, a rematch from last week, and at the beginning of the match, Henry looked real bad.
Yes, he did.
I mean, I noticed a few weeks back that he was fine as a human wall. Mm-hmm. He was as mobile as a wall for about the first half of this match, and it was as much of a one-man show as you've ever seen. He sort of picked it up near the end, and it ended up being all right. He did his big slam on Ray, and for everybody, and this was a big argument somewhere. It was probably Death Valley Driver, but it may have seeped onto our board as well. In fact, it was on our board. Everybody who said that Kurt Angle, all of his finishers were killed by Shawn Michaels on Raw, and the same people that were saying that and praising Mark Henry, well, what are you saying now during this match? Ray hit every move of his in the book, pretty much every finisher, and Henry kicked out of all of them, some of them pretty much on the count of one. And then after eating a 619, he immediately caught Ray and slammed him and pinned him clean 1, 2, 3. And all I got to say is this was the stupidest match I've ever heard of until the Angle Eminem match. I was going to
say, this was the stupidest match on the show.
Because this was stupider, actually. Because this was a match signed right before the Royal Rumble, and Henry could not lose. Henry's going on. And if between last week and this week they decided that they're going to go with Ray and give him the big shove, this absolutely should not have taken place. In no form or fashion should he have lost to Mark Henry. Absolutely under no circumstances should he be losing to anybody. He's fucking 5'2".
Yes.
He's 5'2" and 150 pounds, maybe now. And they're going to push him to the main event of WrestleMania, having him do 2 jobs in a row to Mark Henry. I don't care if they're pushing Mark Henry as the next big guy. There's 30 guys on the roster. I would have been fine with Henry beating Chris Benoit. Mm-hmm. I mean, it would have been wrong on many levels, but at least, Chris Benoit is not getting the main event at WrestleMania. So this was just humongously stupid.
Agreed. And that being said, as a match, it was okay again. It was not the worst match we've ever seen or anything. And I don't know. In their defense, I guess you could argue that they're trying to have Henry build as a contender for if Ray wins the title of Mania, but that's still stupid.
That's way too far down the road. No one's going to remember... They may remember. I don't know. Well,
if they forget that Henry won, then they would have forgotten that Ray had also won. But yeah, there was no reason to book this.
So
they did it last week. I don't think we really needed a rematch. They could have had a million guys do the job here, and they could have done a million things with Ray to have him win going into the Rumble.
Yeah.
So
I don't know. Are they?
I don't think it's.
Now I'm trying to think of how they could do this to make this work. Ray wins and has a match with Henry at No Way Out.
They could do that.
I guess you could do that, but with the title shot on the line or something, so that would mean it would have to be Ray, and is Henry not, he's not even in the Rumble.
No, he's against Kurt.
So, I'm trying to think of how they could do the finish of the Rumble.
You're trying to book the Royal Rumble on the fly right now?
Yeah, so Ray would be one of the last guys in the ring with somebody else, and, oh God, they could do that. But somehow Ray has to win.
Right.
So Henry would have to try and screw Ray, but accidentally eliminates the other guy or something. But then there would be no reason for Rey to have to fight him. I don't know. Who gives a fuck right now? Anyway.
Apparently you.
I am. I'm trying to figure out the stupidity of this, if there's any logic to it, if there's any point to it. Little deal, it came down to Rey versus RVD, Hunter, and Orton. So, of course, you know the first guy out of that little crew there. And then he eliminated Orton with sort of a, kind of a Frankensteiner, but it was to the body, kind of body scissors type deal. And then Hunter went out with the Frankensteiner, Rey won, and to me, I think the 2 losses to Henry in a row really hurt him, because this should have been a way bigger pop than it was. The biggest pop was Hunter going out, because people didn't want him to win. It was actually...
You got Hunter and Orton confused, by the way.
What'd I say?
You said Orton went out
Oh, that's right. Orton did go out last.
Yeah.
So I'd forgotten about that. But yeah, there was a much bigger pop for Hunter being eliminated than Rey winning. So that tells you a little something about Rey. But if you haven't gone online yet, Dave put this little deal up on the site today about how the winner was not going to be in the main event of WrestleMania. And for those trying to put the piece of the puzzle together, the match for the No Way Out show is going to be Rey and Orton. So if you're wondering what the main events are going to be, it's looking to be Kurt Angle versus... Who the hell is he going to face? Orton, sorry. Angle versus Orton and John Cena versus Triple H for the main events of WrestleMania. So there you go. Well, then we had the main event, which was Kurt Angle and Rey Mysterio versus Randy Orton and Mark Henry. Vince, let me ask you a question. This match was 15 minutes long. Angle was in for 10 of it. Sold a long time. How many flat back bumps did he take in this match? And this is a two-part question. How many... three-part question. Well, two-part. How many flat back bumps did he take in this match? And how many of those flat back bumps did not involve a move that he performed?
Okay, the only one I remember for sure is the angle slam. So 1 and 0.
He didn't do an angle slam.
He did.
No, he didn't.
He gave one to Henry.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
So that's what I remember is 1 and 0. I don't remember him taking any body slams or suplexes or
Angle
clotheslines.
took 3 bumps in this match. He took the angle slam on Mark Henry,
which is one he gave.
He took a German suplex, which he also gave. And the third one was he took a knee to the gut and did a flip bump.
Okay.
Those were his 3 bumps in this entire match. This man is not feeling well.
No.
He was on the mat a lot, and they found a bunch of very creative ways to get him down there without him having to take a bump. I thought I would mention that, but he eventually chased Daivari backstage, and then I guess Henry followed Daivari, so ended up with Rey and Orton in the ring, and Orton pinned him clean with a cradle. 1, 2, 3.
He reversed a wacky lucha roll-up and pinned him.
That's right.
And up to this point, we're fine with it.
And
the show had ended right here. Great.
And then he cut his promo.
Which is short. And he said, you've got as much chance, if we cover this already, you've got as much chance of winning at WrestleMania as Eddie Guerrero coming back to life.
That's right.
So Rey agreed to fight him at No Way Out and put his Mania title shot on the line.
Idiot.
Yeah, actually.
Typical idiot babyface, but what the hell can you do? Fighting babyface, I guess how they would explain it. But yeah, that was SmackDown. So
yeah,
some good, some bad, some ugly.
And Rey's going to lose, and that makes me horribly sad.
Well, he is going to lose. Rey Mysterio faced Randy Orton.
Moving on.
Pretty much everybody knew the finish going in. There was at least some thought that they might do something different to set up for a 3-way, but turns out they didn't. They also had a hell of a match. And Randy Orton has his good days and his bad days. Good days usually he was working Chris Benoit.
Imagine.
Rey Mysterio, though, is so great. I mean, Rey Mysterio is a guy where he does a third or a quarter of the high flying he used to do, and he's still fantastic.
Yeah.
And they had
Go ahead.
They had a great match.
They had a great match. It hit me watching this, and it's really not anything new. It just hit me. If you compare the Rey Mysterio of 2006 to the Rey Mysterio of 1996, it's 2 vastly different wrestlers.
Oh, yes.
They're not even the same human being, it seems like. But he's still great. And in some ways, maybe greater.
Oh, he's definitely better now.
Yeah.
He is definitely better now. But the thing is, like, Randy Orton does a lot of wacky selling sometimes, but it worked wrestling Rey Mysterio.
Yeah.
I think that was part of the key.
That's true. I'm a fan of the wacky selling, so...
Yeah, but sometimes it can be too much. Sometimes it can detract from the match.
It could if it was something like an Angle, whose offense is all totally legitimate.
Yeah.
And he starts stumbling around and falling into the ropes.
Yeah.
I can see how that would bother some people, but but here it was just it all worked great. And then the funny thing was, as good as the match was, they didn't do a lot of their big spots.
No.
They teased the 619 once and it missed and it was a finish. There was no. There probably was a springboard dive at some point, but there was no West Coast pop. There was no RKO or even a tease of the RKO, I don't think. They did that really terrifying electric chair into a power
There was
bomb.
a tease for the RKO. He was stalking Ray and then got drop kicked right in the face.
Oh, how could I have forgotten that?
The best spot in this whole match, I don't give a shit what anybody says, Randy Orton was being totally cocky at the beginning. And since Ray's short, he was beating on him early, and he actually got down on his knees to give Ray these forearms, these European uppercuts, just like a total dick. Like, I'm going to beat you, and you're so short, I'm going to mock you while I'm doing it. So he gave like 3 European uppercuts, and all of a sudden Ray just fucking kicked him right in the face.
Oh, yes.
And Orton did his wacky, goofy selling, and everybody went nuts in the room, and it was so awesome.
Yeah.
This was a fine, fine match.
Thumbs up to both these men.
Thumbs up to this match.
That being said, we do to make a point that when the finish happened, that crowd died.
Dead.
Silent.
And it's actually interesting because, there's always arguments about what percentage of fans read the wrestling websites, what percentage of fans are smart. I know there was one smart fan in the building because he held up, I believe it was Wishful Thinker on our board, held up a sign that said, I stole Super Chico's derby hat.
Yes.
And I just want to say on the air publicly right now that Wishful Thinker is the new greatest man in the whole world. I'm sorry, Nut Bunnies. I'm sorry, Odessa. I'm a very shallow man.
It's a sad day for Blue Fist.
Blue Fist, I'm sorry. This can all change rapidly.
Man.
I want you all to know that. But right now, tonight, Wishful Thinker is the greatest man in the world. I stole Super Chico, and he was like in the 4th row, too. It was so great. So anyway, I know there was one smart fan in the building, and it was Wishful Thinker. But as far as everybody else, as of Royal Rumble, everybody knew that Rey Mysterio was going to lose this match. And it seemed that not one damn fan in the building, aside from Wishful Thinker, was aware of it. Because this happened, and they died. And it actually took them several minutes before they actually got into the Kurt Angle-Undertaker match, which actually featured 2 babyfaces, which you would think would make it easier, plus Undertaker's long entrance. But, yeah.
Yep.
But the bright lining in the cloud, as they say, or the silver lining, whatever the fuck, is that it's going to be a 3-way, so Ray's going to get a shot. But, it was... They spent a long, long time with Ray's lamenting after the match as well.
Yes.
We fast-forwarded through a lot of it, and it was still long.
Yes, they drug it out forever, and then he went back and apologized to Chavo and Vicky, and as you said, all the cruiserweights were there, and Lashley and Tatanka and Matt Hardy, and pretty much every babyface that had been on the show up to that point, except Benoit was oddly absent from that bit.
There was also the interesting thing where Chavo and Vicky were like, dude, it's okay, it's no big it's no big deal, blah, blah, blah. And then as Ray walked by everybody, even his fellow Mexicans just looked at him like, you fucker. You know what I mean?
I think you may be misreading it. Either Crazy or Psychosis, one of them just kind of shrugged at him, I guess. But
one of them stepped forward and another one held him back.
No.
I'm not sure what... I mean, was he going to go to hug him and the other one was like, not now? Was it like, I'm going to beat your ass, you goddamn little jumping bean, and the other one goes, no, he's our Rasa? I don't know what it was, but...
Yeah, it was a weird moment. Well, you know what it was, is everyone was disappointed for him and didn't know how to react.
There could be that as well, but Chavo and Vicky sure knew how to react, so... It was a very odd little moment, so I guess we'll see what happens on SmackDown.
And then the final shot was Ray taking a long walk away from the camera down a long hallway and banging against the wall.
That's right.
So he's hurt.
He's angry.
And as you said, at the end, it was all about Ray.
Yeah, it was. So it's good. I am totally fine with how tonight went down, as far as all of that stuff.
Against me.
basically, he beat the hell out of the little bugger, and the little bugger fought back, and I don't even remember the finish. What happened? I just remember the match.
Oh, the finish irritated the hell out of me. Randy Orton ran out and RKO'd Ray, and Ray got pinned.
Oh, this is why the finish was so absurd. It wasn't just because of what the finish was. What happened was the referee got distracted because Finlay grabbed his shillelagh baba, and he was going to, I guess, hit Ray with it. And the ref stopped him, and he was like, no, you can't use that thing. So the ref is on the other side of the ring talking to Fit Finlay, and Ray, who has been setting up for the springboard Hurricane Rana or whatever, or the Hurricane leg drop, or whatever the hell he normally does off the ropes, springboard leg drop. As he's setting up for that, he goes for it. Why the fuck did he go for it?
I don't know.
I mean, Finlay was on the other side of the ref.
Yes, the ref was in the way.
Speaking of the ref, was he going to go over the ref and land on Finlay and then give him a Hurricane Rana or something like that? So anyway, Ray jumped off the ropes and got hit with the RKO, and Finlay got the pin. And yeah, I love Fit Finlay, but what the hell is he doing pinning Rey Mysterio right before WrestleMania?
I have no idea.
I know they're going to say, well, it was Randy Orton and everything like that, but this is a good match. 3.25 stars, maybe 3.5, but what a shitty, stupid finish for a number of reasons. Angle, Orton, and Ray for the WWE title tells you everything you need to know about SmackDown. The fact they did not give this a lot of time.
Yeah.
Very good three-way. A lot of good spots. A lot of... only one spot that I recall that got fucked up. Ray tried the 619 around the post and fell down. Everybody knew it. Gave him hell. Crowd was most solidly behind Angle.
Yeah, they were booing Ray.
No, they were booing everybody. They were booing anyone who was not Angle. It was not so much they were booing Ray, because we saw when they actually booed Cena.
That's true.
They just wanted Angle to win, and when somebody else was winning on him, they didn't like that. That's basically what happened. So it was a good match, and they did the finish where Angle tapped out both guys, but there was no ref. It sets up automatic rematches, obviously. And then Ray ended up hitting the 619 in an awesome springboard Hurricane Rana on Randy Orton, got the pin. Angle flipped out. Ray celebrated. He was so happy. Went up on the ramp, celebrated with Chavo and Vicky, who were also very happy. And it was a great moment. It was a great entrance. He had the Aztec headdress.
The rock band.
Yeah, the rock band. Everything except a live virgin sacrifice, which... lack of virgins, I think, is the reason we didn't get that. But that was the great entrance. And, I don't know, it was just like, it should have been so much more.
It should have been so much more. We talked about how they've killed us for the past 8 weeks or more. The match itself, it was good, but it's like you said, I think you said about Benoit JBL, this one needed 5 or 6 more minutes. It felt like they were just getting going.
Yeah.
It felt like they were just building to the really hot finish, and then it was over and done. For me, it came off as flat. It came off as, well, yeah, Ray's a new champion. Okay, I got it. That's fine.
Oh, this is the other one that annoyed me. This was a TNA faux pas, or a TNA... It was bullshit. Rey Mysterio's next, they said. In fact... He was not next.
Not only was he not next,
he never appeared on the program.
No, the World Heavyweight
video
Champion
package.
Yeah, I guess that was the next.
Yes.
The next is a Rey Mysterio video package, and that was his appearance there. And when I saw that in the spoilers, I thought, well, I guess he had, I couldn't understand why you wouldn't have your new world champion out there, pushes your great big new stars, get him on TV any way you can, and he's not on the show. Well, that's weird. He must have had some appearance somewhere or something, and no, he did a dark match.
He did a dark match.
What the hell?
Yeah, they promised Ray next, and really we didn't even get the highlight video next. They promised Ray, and instead we got Matt Hardy and Animal. And then when that was over, we got the Ray video package, and then we never saw Ray again.
Nope.
And then immediately after that, we had the whole Benoit JBL no celebration cage match thing. And at this point, I was passionately hating the show.
In hindsight, there's some dumb stuff on the show.
There was so much stupid stuff. That's what the goddamn thing is there for. SmackDown is from the UK. It was a good show. I can't call any show with a Ray Angle main event like the main event we saw a bad show.
That's fair, I guess.
Fine entertainment. There was a
lot of stuff to hate on this show.
I don't know if it was...
Even a lot, but there was stuff to hate.
I don't know if it was so much stuff...
Maybe I'm just in a bad mood from Ohio Valley still.
I think you were in a bad mood. What was there to hate on the show?
Well, the buried the Englishman in his hometown again. Ray came out.
Go on. I'll rant about.
Ray had the match with Kurt and was saved by Mark Henry, but his title was saved. He was going to lose. He was in the ankle lock and had nowhere to go, and that's really the big thing to me, because when I heard that spoiler that he was in the ankle lock and ready to tap out, I thought, they've buried this guy so bad. And I actually went back and looked, and in this year, in 2006, on SmackDown and pay-per-views, Ray has pinned men 4 times and been pinned or submitted 5. So in the year, on the whole, he's a loser. He just happened to win the important one.
Perhaps someone is trying to prove me wrong when I said earlier in the year he's been protected and he would work fine as champion, because he has not been protected.
Oh, hell no. IMM had a great rant on our board about what a goof he's been portrayed as, and I can't top it. Everyone go to the board and read that one. But there's a thread about why Ray's being booed, and it's because he loses all the time and gets his butt saved by the general manager, and gets fluke wins. He's just bad. They just killed him.
The rant I have about this show, I have a couple of rants. I was fine with the Regal thing, because he did lose to JBL, but JBL is the U.S. champion.
Yeah.
It is conceivable that he could lose.
It was not a squash.
He wasn't going to win. And they did have a competitive match.
Yeah.
And it was a good enough match that I don't think Regal was hurt by it. I was fine with that.
Well, it was not long term. It's just, all I could think was all these people in this building, the one thing they wanted to see tonight was they wanted to see Regal win. They didn't get it.
But, I don't know. I guess you could have put him in a nothing match, but
they could have any goof on the roster, or they could have done Finley.
You also have to look at it this way, though: is JBL's gimmick is this great American.
Yeah.
And he's going to cut the anti-American promo.
Anti-English promo. And it's either going to be Regal or the Pirate. Well, it should be Regal then.
Somebody from the UK has got to make the save, and you don't have a lot of options.
Yeah.
And they're protecting the Pirate, so this is just the way that things work. As for the main event, I wasn't even angry about the Ray thing, because I'm beyond that now. I accept it now. I wasn't surprised. That is the reason he's booed. The thing that annoyed me most about the main event angle was you had Mark Henry run in for no good reason. And it was during the Melina match that I made the determination that there is good heat, which is ticket selling heat. There's bad heat, which is turn the channel heat. And then there's fuck off heat, which is I don't ever want to see you again. Mm-hmm. If I read that you got cut, I would rejoice and have a drink. Melina's got that heat with me now. I don't ever need to see her again. I've said this many times. I don't ever need to see her again.
You've mentioned this.
If I found out that she was working at the Top Food in Woodinville, which is my favorite store, I would never go there again.
Wow.
But I would rejoice that she's stuck working at Top Foods in Woodinville and not in the WWE anymore. And in some ways I feel bad for saying that, because I'm sure WWE is encouraging her to scream.
I was going to say.
But I don't think that somebody just goes, I got this idea. Why don't you start screaming? I think she fucking screamed once and they got off on it. We're like, oh, you're going to scream every match now.
That's probably true.
So I blame her for this. I never need to see her again. Mark Henry got fuck off heat in the main event.
Yes, he did.
These guys were having a great match, and in walked Mark Henry to just ruin the whole thing. Everybody was irate. This was not, boy, can't wait to see Mark Henry get his. It was just fuck off, Mark Henry, fuck off WWE, just all of you can just fuck off. That was this sort of heat.
And that was how the show ended.
No, it did not. It ended with Mark Henry beating up Kurt Angle, putting him on a table, and giving a splash off the apron. Now, Kurt Angle is complaining of neck issues, and all I can say about this is there's more to this story. There's more to the Kurt Angle story of going off the road. But I think why they did this is because he is going off the road.
Yeah.
And this is one of the big problems with the WWE. You've got a guy that's going to go off the road, and you need to do an angle to get him off the road. And instead of having a guy like Gunnar Smith, A guy like Booker T, who's probably pegged to be in the finals and perhaps win the King of the Ring. Instead of somebody like that, you just have the biggest guy do it. Let's have Mark Henry injure Kurt Angle. And what are you going to get out of this? Are you going to make any money off of this? No.
Another shitty Kurt Angle, Mark Henry match.
You're losing money because Kurt Angle's off the road, and he is a very popular man.
Yes.
Anybody that was going to buy a ticket to see Kurt Angle on a house show ain't buying that ticket now. He's not on the house show.
Mm-hmm.
And you're making no money off Mark Henry. You could at least try to make a money player out of somebody by injuring the world champion and taking him off the road. Is Kurt Angle going to be in a feud with Mark Henry for the title on pay-per-view when he comes back? They can't possibly be so stupid.
You know, he's not champion.
Oh, that's right. There he is. Keep forgetting that. But the point is, when Angle does return, is he going to be in a big program with Mark Henry?
And the answer, I'm afraid, is yes.
Is that going to sell a ticket? I can't wait to see Mark Henry get his...
Definitively no.
It's so stupid. They could make somebody out of this, and instead it's just, who's the biggest guy? And Mark Henry just got beaten by countout in the tournament, so he's already looking like a geek. So it's the final year of a 10-year deal that they try to get out of for 9 years.
Mm-hmm.
It's just flabbergasting to me that this company does shit like this.
And the fact that Kurt's going off the road, Ray still couldn't beat him.
Yeah. Well, I mean, he could have beaten him. I mean, even...
No, instead Henry hit the ring, got the DQ, and then tossed Ray aside, and he was never seen again.
The man going off the road is almost beat the world champ.
Yeah, he was protected. The guy leaving.
Anyway, the main event of the show was bullshit. It was Rey and Mark Henry. I will say this about Rey Mysterio. Is there a man that could have a better match with Mark Henry?
This show was so good until the last 2 minutes, and this match was fantastic until the very end, and then it just all went screaming downhill.
I have seen Kurt Angle. Actually, that's about the only other person I can think I've ever seen have a decent match, and it wasn't even a good match.
I remember Kurt Angle having a very bad match with Mark Henry.
Who else has had a good match with Mark Henry? Yeah, he had a horrible one at Royal Rumble. Who else has had a good match with Henry? Has Chris Benoit ever wrestled Mark Henry?
Probably.
I don't recall it.
No one else.
It must not have been horrible, because I don't recall, because I remember off the top of my head every man that's had a bad match with Chris Benoit.
Billy Gunn and Kane.
Very short list.
I think that's the end of the list.
Revolution or whatever.
Who?
The fucking French Canadians that tag match with Benoit and Jericho.
La Resistance.
La Resistance.
La Resistance, Kane, and Billy Gunn.
I believe that's
the entire list. And I saw him have a great match with Kane at a house show. So
yes,
he redeemed
himself on Kane.
Yeah.
And I'm sure he probably redeemed himself on at least Rob Conway. But
yeah, probably.
So it must not have been bad with Mark Henry, but I saw Ray have a fantastic match with Mark Henry about 4 months ago, which actually was the match that caused everybody to come to the conclusion. I should not say everybody. A number of people to come to the conclusion that Mark Henry was great. And they could not be convinced otherwise, based on a match with Rey fucking Mysterio Jr., who is a great fucking worker.
He is great.
And I should note that the Mark Henry is great threads died at the Royal Rumble. A very quick death. And have not since been revived. Although they'll probably be revived tonight because he had another great match with Rey Mysterio Jr. Anyway, the point is, Rey had another great match with the guy. And then he went for a springboard. Mark Henry caught him and slammed him and pinned the world champion clean.
Mm-hmm. Squish, squash, done, buried, dead, useless.
I have been ranting about the treatment of Rey for weeks now. Months, actually.
Really? Yeah, since Rumble before.
Since February. No, he was fine up to Rumble. February on, they fucked it all up. Prior to Royal Rumble, I was petitioning every week, Rey must be champion.
I was right with you.
Rey must be champion. Rey must be champion. Starting in February, as they fucked everything up, I started to realize, this ain't going to work. They've got to protect this guy. This is going to fail. And it's gotten worse and worse and worse. He won the title in a three-way without beating the champion.
Well, you can go before that.
He did a horrible job the week before.
Okay, let's go back. He lost his title shot to Randy.
He lost his title shot.
He was handed a shot back in the main event slot. He was put in by management. He tapped out clean Angle the week before WrestleMania.
In fact, in a match where he was supposed to prove he belonged, he
in a
was
match,
beaten
yes,
clean.
He did not belong. He goes into the main event Mania. He pins Randy, who is not the champ, to win the title.
Sure.
He has the great match with Randy the week after. That was the only thing they've done right in the year with him, really.
He disappears from TV. They only air video packages.
Yes.
He's hidden backstage.
He's put another match with Angle and put in a position where it appears he's going to lose when Mark Henry inexplicably makes the save.
He cuts a promo this week saying he had been losing when Mark Henry ran in. He admits that he was defeated clean.
He cuts promos admitting that he's been lucky to have the belt this long and he could lose it at any time.
That's right. And then tonight he gets beaten clean by Mark fucking Henry.
Yeah, it's I mentioned gone back. He's been pinned more than he's pinned people this year. He's getting pinned by guys like Mark Henry. You put the plug for the Meltzer show on your front page this week where it said, Dave and I discuss how they've dropped the ball with Rey. And I read that and I laughed out loud. They have not dropped the ball. They've stabbed the ball like the guys in Ultimate Fighter did. Remember the basketball?
Yes, I remember the basketball.
Okay, yes. They stabbed the ball with Rey. They as someone said, they hate money because they've buried Rey, and in the process they bury their own title. JBL will probably beat him at the pay-per-view, and who cares?
They have killed the belt. They've killed Rey. They've killed the belt.
They've killed the show. There's nothing on the show.
Well,
there's Benoit Finlay.
I don't even know. They're idiots. This is the stupidest. Not even giving him a chance is the most fantastically annoying thing in the world. I pray for the Lucha Group to get TV in the U.S. and just take over.
That would be great.
Chances are very unlikely that's going to happen because WWE really does have so much
money
going for it.
Yeah.
Money, brand recognition.
They still do have 4
strong
hours
television,
on TV,
this, that, and the other thing. But by God, it just angers me that it's such an obvious, just give it a try. Give it a try with Rey. I mean, I had this discussion with Dave, and he's right. It is something about his size. There is something to it where you look at him and he looks weird with the belt, particularly a belt that's so large.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? There is something to that, sure. And there is something where Vince isn't going to give him a chance. But you know what? They should have tried. If they weren't going to try, they shouldn't have put the belt on him. Just try. It's better to try and fail than to not even try.
Ordinarily, I would argue that point, but in this case, I totally agree.
Why would you argue that point?
Well, because I think failing sucks. But
that's why you're not a businessman.
That's true. And these guys are a businessman, and they really had nothing to lose. If they had pushed Rey to the moon and had him pitting guys right and left, having great matches every week, which he would have done, and it couldn't have hurt, and if they had done all that, and he had still failed, and there was still a backlash, and people started to boo, and they weren't making any money, then fine. But they didn't do that. They sabotaged the whole thing.
If you try and fail, actually, I'll let you say this. If you try, even if the chances of failure are 99%, let's say the chance of failure with Rey were 80%.
Okay.
If you try, the chances are 20% that maybe this will hit, and you'll make some money, and maybe it'll even be a gigantic hit.
Okay.
If you don't even try, the chances of failure are 100%.
Right.
Vince.
I agree with that.
All right, well, perhaps this is the story of your life as well, now that I've heard you say you normally would argue this point. You've got to try, dude. I don't think there's anything in this world that you can't have at least a 1% chance of success. Yet, if you don't even try, you've got a 0% chance of success.
I can't argue with that.
With Rey Mysterio, they've given him a 0% chance of success.
Absolute zero.
In fact, this isn't not even trying. They've attempted to destroy him, it appears.
And I would say they succeeded.
I mean,
rather handily.
If they would have said, Brian, I want you to book a program where we destroy Rey Jr. and the belt,
it would have gone a lot like what they've done.
I don't even know if I could do better than what they've done, to be honest with you. I mean, I'd probably think, all right, who could I have beat Rey Mysterio that would just be fucking stupid? Mark Henry. Oh shit, they did it.
There you go.
They did what I would have done.
Third time this year Mark Henry has pinned Rey Mysterio.
Just absolutely. And it gets worse. The show went off the air with Mark Henry about to kill Rey, and JBL said, no, don't do it. I promise, when I win the belt, you'll get the first shot. And I thought, all right, so let me get this straight. Next week on the show, we've got the fucking Great Khali against Rey Mysterio. And down the road, we've got to look forward to Mark Henry versus JBL.
God, I hadn't thought about that part until right now. That sounds horrible.
You got to listen to the Steve Sims show today where he's talking about the upcoming things for Lucha and how huge things could be and all these big matches they've got coming up and how business in September is probably going to be bigger than this past weekend. which was the biggest weekend in Earth's history for selling tickets. It's probably going to be bigger in September. What do we have to fucking look forward to on SmackDown? Rey Mysterio and the Great Khali. Rey Mysterio losing to JBL after having done nothing with him. And then JBL versus fucking Mark Henry.
Fuck those guys.
And then we had Rey and the Great Khali, which was... I didn't even really get that mad.
No, well...
Because I'd been prepared for 4 days.
Yeah.
I got mad on Tuesday night. And I was still mad Wednesday. And every time... I think it's just a lot of... What it was I got a lot of communication from a lot of different people. And they were all very, very vociferously angry about it.
Yeah.
And I think I just sort of absorbed all that.
Yeah.
So when I finally watched it was just like, well, it's exactly as retarded as I thought.
When I heard about it, I've been angry about the booking of Rey for months now, and at this point, I am no longer angry. I am broken.
I couldn't even.
If you deliberately tried to bury Rey, you couldn't do a better job than they've done.
No, I couldn't deliberately bury him any worse.
And it's gotten to the point.
You could say. You could have just beaten him for the belt. No, this is worse.
No, this is significantly worse. Are you kidding me? If he had lost the match to Orton, we had not seen him since, that would have been better in the long run.
We've killed Rey. We've killed the belt.
Oh, you've just buried the belt deep beneath the earth.
Killed the Hispanic audience.
Yes.
We've killed the future potential.
You've killed the children.
You've killed the children. You've potentially killed the show because by killing the Hispanic viewers, you've killed the rating.
Yeah.
And they need that rating. And the rating is already being hurt by preemptions from TV stations that don't give a shit and want to tank UPN ratings.
They want to watch baseball?
They need all the help they can get. And if all the help you can get is peaking Hispanic numbers...
This is the wrong way to do it.
This is the wrong approach. When I saw Great Khali walking up the ramp, all I thought was, this show won't make it through the year. That was my first thought. SmackDown will die this year. And I'm sure... Actually, I shouldn't say I'm sure, but I suspect it won't. But that was my first thought, was this show's dead. This show is dead.
There's no reason to disagree with you.
And we can look back to this as one of the turning points, not the turning point. There's been plenty of idiocy.
And if you call it a turning point, it's just another brick in the wall. But...
Big brick.
Yeah.
This is a big one.
It's when they started this angle, we all figured, okay, JBL's winning the belt from Rey at Judgment Day, and they'll move on. And whether that's the best idea or not, who knows? But now it's to the point where you almost think Rey may win at Judgment Day, but if he does, so what? It won't matter. He's still nothing. He's still insignificant. And if JBL wins, he's beaten nothing.
See, the thing is, JBL has to win. Because if JBL wins, yes, he beat nothing. But if JBL loses, he lost to nothing, and there's nothing.
And there's nothing.
So
we've never. Well, I should ask you. Maybe ask Dave. Has any company ever done anything more self-destructive in their booking? Probably.
Oh yeah. Well, David Arquette.
Even that was not designed to fail.
It wasn't. This wasn't designed to fail. They think this is working. That's the idiocy of it.
That's sad.
And it was the same thing with David Arquette. So anyway, where were we?
I don't care.
Yeah, you do.
I've given up.
The main event of the show, May 19th, Kane came out and killed Rey Mysterio and JBL.
And JBL and SmackDown. It just sucks to be SmackDown.
The end of the show was the SmackDown brand on the final show before the big SmackDown pay-per-view. The world champion and the challenger for the world title were buried by a movie star.
Yeah.
A Raw movie star.
Yes.
An upper mid-carder.
Yes, it was exactly like TNA saying the last pay-per-view by having Kane show up and bury Christian in Abyss. It was the exact same thing.
This was even stupider, I think, than when Great Khali killed... Well, no. I won't go
No, that was stupider. But
I will say this. Great Khali killing Rey was much dumber long-term. Short-term, this was 10 times dumber.
I don't even disagree with that, because this was at least exciting.
No, because...
This had heat.
But at least short-term with Great Khali, you only killed the champion. You still had a strong challenger.
Kinda.
This short-term, you have a pay-per-view Sunday, and they killed not only the champion, but the challenger and the brand. That is much dumber short-term.
It's definitely dumb.
Long-term with Rey, they killed Rey, the belt, the town, the Mexicans, everybody. They killed, I guess... Whatever.
2 out of 3 people are idiots, and on the booking committee, it's about 3 out of 3. And a lot of times this involved a little red cowboy hat or a milk truck or
Sure.
stuff like that. So, he said it's a chance to reinvent himself, and they're going to have to try and do that.
And there's a possibility. I will give them, like I said, the benefit of the doubt for now. I'm not totally down on this one yet. Anyway, like I said, they had a great match.
They had a fucking beautiful match. It was a wonder to behold, and I was happy to be alive.
The only downside was the lame count-out finish.
Mm-hmm.
But, I was even thinking about this, and I was like, you can't beat Rey.
Yeah.
And theoretically, you can beat a dude on his way out. But to me, Angle is on his way out to be the top star in the brand.
He's not on his way out. He's on his way into another part of the company.
Sure, but I mean, you can. I think if you're leaving one company for another, but you're leaving one company to become the anchor of the other company, the guy, I don't know about doing a job on the way out.
No, he absolutely should not have lost here. I would have done time limit draw, and with about 15, maybe longer, 30 seconds to go, Angle gets the ankle lock, and Rey sells and sells and sells, but he fights and fights and fights, and he doesn't tap out, and the time limit expires. And Angle looks strong. Rey looks not quite as strong, but still, the champion who did not give up. They shake hands. Everyone's happy.
I don't even know if I would do. I wouldn't have done that because I wouldn't have wanted Rey to look like he would have lost.
They've done it before.
I know, and it's been stupid.
I see.
Or two, but doubtful. So Rey faced RVD in the opener. RVD won, as you're all well aware. By far the best part of this match was RVD puts a chair on Rey Jr.'s chest. He goes up top to do the frog splash, and as he's in midair, Rey's like, fuck this. Throws the chair out of the way, and RVD just gives him a regular frog splash and pins him. And I thought, that was the right thing to do, young man.
Wise man.
You were a wise man.
And the announcers totally no-sold it.
Sure. Even on the replay, they made sure to get an angle where you couldn't see it.
Yes.
Because Rey was smart. It would have been absolutely idiotic to take that. And, you can say, well, they pinned the champion. They should have pinned him with frog splash into a chair. No. He's lost to everyone.
Yes.
He's lost to Mark Henry, clean. He's lost to
Kali. He's losing more. He's lost to Angle by count out and got saved by Mark Henry, who was fighting Kurt Angle. And the deal with Rey is
perhaps there's more to come.
You may say that. The deal with Rey is he loses every match when the title's not on the line. His title was not on the line here, therefore he lost. That's his gimmick.
Yeah. Someone did make a good point, and they were like, Rey is the hero of the children. And children, unlike adults, never lose hope.
That's right.
That is true, but on the other hand, children ain't got no money. They're not buying any pay-per-views. So there is that argument there, but the match was fine. I expected it to be worse.
Yeah, I would say it was good.
Sure.
Yes.
Went to do commentary. It was Rey versus Finlay. Another good match. A lot of good wrestling on this show now that I look back.
Oh, yeah.
I didn't really think about it at the time, but at least 3 good matches on this show, so thumbs up for that. But Sabu ran in at the finish and beat up Rey. Actually, distracted the ref, so Finlay used his whatchamacallit on young Rey and hit the Kryptonite Crunch, or the whatever the hell you call it, the Emerald Frozen, and pinned him. That was the end of that, and afterwards Sabu put Rey through a table outside with a big dive. So that was your final big to the paper, what I'm trying to say here. Final build to the pay-per-view on Sunday.
I was going to let you dig yourself out of that one.
Sabu faced Rey Jr. for the world title. Rey Jr. was booed, but not vociferously. This was just more like, you're an invader, so we'll boo you, but we sort of like you, but we got to pretend like we don't.
It was booing in the sense that you are the bad guy. Yes,
we're going to go along with it and boo you.
Yes.
So anyway, this was much different than the Tacoma crowd, who would not go along with it when Jerry Lawler was trying to play with them and get them to chant ECW. But
yes.
These fans played along. They did a bunch of stuff. It was, I guess, better than I expected. I think I really expected a disaster. I certainly did not get a disaster.
No, it was definitely, probably from just an in-ring standpoint, it's probably the best match on the show. There's other stuff that had more drama, but as far as his actual execution of pro wrestling moves, this is head and shoulders above everything else.
I don't know. The Cena RVD wasn't that bad.
I thought it sucked.
Wow. Well, regardless, they had a match here, and it was fine. To me, the most interesting thing in this match was, I believe, and I could be corrected here, this was the first time Rey Jr. ever worked a match as a heel. Rey Jr., all 5 feet 2 inches of him, got the heat on Sabu. He was a rudo.
Yes.
And I loved every second of it.
Yeah, it was far from a disaster. I was watching, Ray at this point is so great. You just have a good match with literally anyone, Sabu or JBL or Mark Henry or Kurt Angle. And they did.
I like how you lumped Mark Henry and Kurt Angle together.
Yeah, well, But there's a bunch of chair-assisted stuff, and the big finish was Sabu sitting Ray up on a table outside and doing a triple jump springboard DDT thing that looked like it killed Rey Mysterio dead.
Not just Ray, it looked like they both died.
Yeah, Sabu fell back onto his back and looked like on the back of his head and neck. And yes, it was very effective for doing what they wanted to do, which was the double KO finish, which the crowd was not terribly happy with.
Well, here's the deal. They had a guy from the Athletic Commission supposedly come out and say, this match cannot continue, throw it out, blah, 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 whatever. And these guys sold it like they were dead. And the crowd initially chanted bullshit, but not for very long.
Yeah.
And I think that the most important thing was, if you're going to do this finish and not totally get people ready to riot, it's got to look like both guys maybe really did die.
Yeah.
And this did. Now, I don't know if that's necessarily a good thing. I mean, how do you explain that to two guys? We're going to do a double KO finish, so you guys have got to come as close to dying as possible without actually dying.
Actually, I see them giving that speech, and I just see Sabu going, okay. And Ray going, what?
Yeah.
That was the other thing I thought immediately after this. My first thought was just, holy crap, I hope they're okay. And my second thought was just, why would Ray do this?
Well, I watched this match and I was like, Ray has got to be thinking today, thank God I'm done after tonight with this whole ECW bullshit deal. I mean, this poor guy, Rob Van Dam doing that leg drop or knee drop or whatever onto his head, the moonsault on the show.
Sabu did the same thing tonight. He
Yep.
did a triple jump moonsault and just kneed Ray right in the face.
Knee right to the face. He was throwing these chairs at his head. Ray didn't put his hands up for one of them. Just clonked him right in the head. This DDT through the table. They both looked like they were dead. And, this would have been a lot worse if that would have looked hokey. I mean, this would have been an epic disaster had that not looked so devastating. So, hopefully both guys are fine. I have heard nothing, so I'm going to assume everybody's okay. But that was a terrifying spot.
Yeah.
Got the holy shit chance, that sort of thing. So.
Well, both guys did walk out, so that's good news.
Yeah.
All I know is there is footage on the website apparently of Ray getting medical attention, but I didn't watch it yet.
Well, finishes.
Well, the only thing I would say is that the Booker T match was a cheap DQ. The Ray and Mark Henry one, since they played it off as a tasteful, for once, tribute to Eddie Guerrero and they did the lying, cheating, stealing thing, that one didn't bother me nearly as much.
Bothered me because it followed the other one.
Yeah.
And I don't know. I mean, I think it's part of the thing. I'm not sick of Blaster Lashley and Finlay yet because, or whoever he wrestled tonight. Booker T.
The King.
Because it's good.
Yeah.
But if it were not these two men, I'd be like, I've seen this match 8 times in the last 8 weeks, and we're going to see it again next week.
Mm-hmm.
I realize you're adding a stipulation in a cage, but
still the same two dudes.
Once the babyface beats the heel clean, do I really need to see it 2 more times?
Especially in the manner.
I mean,
he didn't hit a roll up out of nowhere and get a lucky win.
No, he
hit his finisher and pinned him in the middle of the ring.
1, 2, 3 last week, and now we've got to see 2 more weeks of it.
Yeah, I don't understand it either.
And so they're trying to salvage it now by doing a DQ finish to build up to a cage match.
I don't know.
Not working.
Very strange.
Ray and Henry, it's just there's something about going such a length of time and then giving a cheap finish. If this had gone 2 minutes with a cheap finish, I think I'd have been fine with it.
Yeah.
But to devote 20 minutes of my life to a match and then just a shitty finish. It bothered me way more with Booker T, I will say that. The Booker T Lashley match, because that was just...
Well...
And that was real dumb and cheap.
Well, the big problem there was doing the clean pin last week, because I don't know what else they could have done.
Yeah.
So this week, they booked themselves into a corner. But yeah, I'm a little frightened that Mark Henry's going to main event a pay-per-view coming up.
Mark Henry's going to win the belt.
Really?
I don't know that for certain, but
It's him or Booker.
I would bet that he's winning the belt because obviously the idea for SummerSlam is Batista getting the belt back, and he ain't getting it back from Ray.
Right.
And Booker T appears to be busy right now. even if the cage match next week is the blow-off, we still seem to have this deal with Regal's in the mix and Finley's in the mix, and I don't really... And plus, this match did not have a clean finish. Rey did not beat Mark Henry.
Right.
It was more bullshit. So Rey and Henry is going to continue. Out came Chavo Guerrero, as everybody expected. He grabbed a chair, teased he was going to hit Booker, and then, I have no other way to describe it, but he killed Rey Mysterio Jr. with a chair shot to the head.
I will probably take heat for saying this, but this may have been the hardest chair shot I've ever seen.
He hit him so hard that his mask was, like, turned halfway around.
Yes. Rey was left laying on the ground looking at the side of his mask.
Yes. Rey was just deceased.
What was the crowd reaction after that?
Weird. It wasn't...
Half of them knew what was going on. They had done a promo earlier where Chavo had said he's going to make sure that dreams come true. He didn't say, I'm going to make sure you keep your title. He left it ambiguous, so some of them had a clue what was going on.
Right.
It was a weird mix of shock. We knew this was coming at the same time, and mostly a lot of, we don't want to see this.
Yeah, it was not vociferous booing or anything like that. It was
God damn it, we want Rey to keep the title.
Yeah. So he waffled Rey. Booker made the cover. The referee taking a bump, by the way, which is pretty creative. Rey was trying his the headstand into the corner into the head scissors, and Booker swung him into the referee.
Yes.
Which at least was creative, you know. But so anyway, Booker got the pin. He is your new champion. They're now billing him as the king of the world is the new gimmick. But Rey has been defeated. Looks like it's going to be Rey and Chavo at the SummerSlam pay-per-view.
Well, that's clearly where they're going with the Rey and Chavo feud, but